Hey, Sox fans. Welcome to Good Guys Talk Back, a local fan-centric Chicago White Sox podcast, hosted by Nick Murawski and Pat Hester.
Sox fans, welcome back to Good Guys Talk Back. I am Nick Murawski. This is episode 355. Join us live if you can on the Good Guys Talk Back YouTube channel, 9 p.m. We do this on Sunday nights. Audio available absolutely everywhere. You find your podcasts. We are talking first place, Chicago White Sox, 68-62 as they grab a series win in dramatic fashion against the visiting New York Mets. Kind of chop up the week that was and try to calm each other down here as we get in late August. Uncharted territory for us, I know, for a while, but it's exciting. Let's remember that. We don't want to go back to what we had the last 3 years, so enjoy this. With me, as always, my best friend, diehard Sox fan, Pat Hester. Hello, sir.
My friend, it's good to see you. I think we're going to get through this episode without any hiccups
I hope so.
on the technology side, which I'm excited about. And you know what a lot of people are excited about, Nick, is they're cashing some checks right now, because if you add the Sox on the over at 67.5, you are now you're rolling around like Demi Moore in just a bed of money right now. Can you imagine it? Just a bunch of South Side fans rolling around in beds of money right now, just excited all over the place. And as DJ would say, yes, jump up and down. Did you hear that call the other day? Jake Roberts, let's have fun. Let's jump up and down. Did you hear that,
man? I did not hear that, because
you gotta find it. It is DJ at his best.
I'm still all over, like, the whole Schriffen yeah, buddy. I don't see, look, people are gonna find ways. They are gonna find their ways to dump on John Schriffen. I know it. And you and I found our ways to dump on DJ for a long period of time. And DJ still provides. But look, this team is 3.5 games up. We are in first place in late August. Schriffen is Schriffen. Just let him be, man.
I don't have a problem with it.
You can't. I am too busy enjoying this team. But the anger and the ire that people have, the venom over a buddy. This is who he is, folks. Yeah. Okay. Hey, he's trying to figure it out. If DJ is still saying the things he's saying after 20-something years, I mean, Schriffen ain't changing anytime soon. So enjoy the fact that the Sox are in first place, but do whatever you want to do. If you want to just hate and clench your fists, I get it. It's not for everybody. It's sometimes tough on the ears, but enjoy this team. That's all I got to say. I will find that DJ thing.
You're going to love it. And when you hear it, I mean, and it's as you see it or you hear it over the visual, right? And the young lady in left field, left center, who lost all the contents of her purse, everything. And you just hear him go, yes, let's get excited. Jump up and down. And it was pure gold. I loved it. You'll find it.
She lost everything in her purse. Everything came flying out.
Tampons are flying everywhere. Credit cards.
It looked like there was a lot of loose change, which I got to say, I know there's not. I don't carry loose change. I don't. I guess if, I had a fanny pack or a purse or something, but I don't know if I would even have the change. Even if I had a place to store it, I wouldn't have change to put anywhere. Maybe they were tokens or something
all over the place.
I mean, I think she got everything back from what I understand. And I think she reunited the baseball with Jake Rogers, who that was his first walk-off of his career. And I think some gear, some merch was exchanged. So, but that was quite the sight.
I mean, think about this, Nick, this weekend. And again, it wasn't the prettiest baseball you've ever seen, especially offensively.
No, it was not.
break that down. Saturday was quite a downer, and I'm sure you have thoughts on runners in scoring position that you'd like to discuss today. But just think about how miraculous it is. Again, we sports fans, we say this all the time. You and I say this stuff all the time. I mean, what would you have said if I went back in time at the beginning of the season and we'd be in first place and we'd be winning a series against the Mets where Jake Rogers and Tristan Peters are hitting walk-off home runs in a series? I mean, this is insanity.
Yeah, it really is. It's we talk about that synergy or that chemistry or the stuff that you can't quantify. And in any year, I feel like a successful year would, football, basketball, baseball, what have you, you can put those teams together on paper, right? That makes so much sense. And, this is how the lineup's going to go. These are my starting five. I don't see any holes. How can things go wrong? But you just know there are guys that you picked up, reclamation projects. It hasn't really worked for the Sox over the last few years, but you pick up these guys, you find these guys to give them new life. You got to have the sixth man. You have to have folks off the bench, late game replacements. And I want to talk a little bit more about that maybe after we kind of break down the weekend a bit, and maybe even the Cubs series of, what Getz has done well and what has not gone well for Getz. Yeah. Because, man, Tristan Peters, like, where would we be without that guy? He just keeps getting the job done. Yeah, he's got some
walk-off hit of the year, I believe, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's fun for a guy easy guy to root for with his story. I think he did it with a banana bat. It was Players Weekend, and he was he was using a banana bat, a nod to his Savannah Banana days. And there's more attractive guys you want to have out there with the numbers, and he sometimes goes to sleep offensively, but man, he comes up clutch. Up clutch. I feel like he doesn't get cheated sometimes at the plate. I want to talk a little. Remind me that to get to that in a little bit. These guys just are having fun, and we're at a 3.5 game lead, not on the Tigers, but on Cleveland.
Isn't that wild?
This whole thing is shifting kind of how I expected it was going to shift. I thought Detroit was eventually they were going to run out of magic, feeling the loss of Skubal and Mize, and once they got around the rotation a couple times, they were going to start to slip away a bit, and we helped with that. Obviously, last weekend with that big sweep in Detroit. Minnesota's hanging in there. We're up 5.5 on Minnesota. Boy, next weekend, what a series that's going to be. I haven't asked my lovely, sweet wife yet, but I might find a moment to say, do you want to drive to Minnesota? What do you think?
Oh, my goodness gracious.
What do you think?
Oh, my.
What if we just drive to Minnesota? Wouldn't that be fun? And how about it? The Sox are in Minnesota, and that would be a nice little trip.
So you think you would put one? Your wife is extremely bright, smart, educated, many degrees. And you think you're just going to say, I don't know, where should we go? What should we do this weekend? We got a lot going on. Bed Bath and Beyond. Maybe we'll do this or that.
They're not around anymore.
You've got squirrels running around in your attic right now. So just so people know, Nick's house is infested with squirrels. And you want to take a trip and just drive to Minnesota and try and trick her by just saying, maybe we'll just take in some lakes. I don't know what you do up there in Minnesota. And then how did this come about? How did
this is wild. This is wild. The Sox are in.
What are the odds?
It's something I'm gonna workshop. We'll see how that goes, but not a bad drive, not a horrible drive.
An 8-hour drive.
There are worse drives. It's going to be a big series. Sox, of course, have got business to take care of right away on Monday with a Texas series. But it is fascinating. But we shouldn't be surprised. Like, this is how the Central is going to go. I really think until the last week or so. There's a lot of baseball left. I mean, 32 games remaining, but a lot of meaningful baseball for these Central teams. And, Cleveland, Minnesota, Detroit's 7 back, but they could still all sniff the blood. And they know that the Sox are not airtight. Nobody in the Central is. I mean, honestly, the American League, come on. If you're going to win the pennant in the American League and you think you got a chance, this is the year. They smell blood in the water, and they know that the Sox can go on a little bit of a lull, and it is just so important, man. Every game matters, and it's why we talk in April and May about you got to win these games. You got to win these marginalized games. You got to find ways to win in extras and with runners in scoring position, get those guys over. You don't want to leave anything on the table and say in September, man, and I know every team's going to be doing that, but this team, especially this Sox team, they needed everything. And magic number, I think, sits at 30, if I'm correct, with 32 to play. So,
okay, I'll believe you on that. I thought I saw 30 earlier today, so I thought it was down under 30 with the win today at 29, but who knows?
Maybe.
I mean,
okay.
To me, magic number, it's fun to think about. Normally, first of all, you haven't thought about a magic number for quite some time, unless you're just, when's the magic number for the year be over? And when do the Bears start, which has been phenomenal for me. I don't know what the hell's going on with the Chicago Bears, because I'm so into baseball and focused. I got people texting me like, hey, you watching the Bears game? No, I'm not watching the Bears game tonight. Wake me up in week 1. I got bigger fish to fry here with my Chicago White Sox. Here's what I think about what's going to happen in this division. You look at where we're at right now in terms of our record with the games left. If you just play 500, Nick, which they've kind of been playing about 500, just better, slightly better 500 ball maybe over the past month or so. I don't know what the exact number is. My eye test says they're probably about a 500 team over the last month. If they could play 500 ball the rest of the way, that's 84 wins. I also saw today they don't play a team for the rest of the way with a better record than them. So you've kind of gotten through. And again, I don't want to count chickens before they're hatched. It's not about who you play, it's when you play them type of thing. And i.e. the Mets coming in this weekend with playing really good baseball, since they traded away a bunch of guys, similar to what Detroit was doing after trading guys who are hot for a while. But you look at it on paper, and there's a path there where if you take care of business and if you can be 500 the rest of the way, I believe that's good enough, because again, the guys that are chasing you, none of them are even at 500 at this point. So continue to take care of business against, again, they're still major league teams. There's no pushovers, especially when you're just a 6 game over 500 team yourself. You take care of business, play 500 ball. That should be enough to win this division, don't you think?
Yeah, I don't like that mentality. But
I don't like
right.
it either. I'm not saying I like it. I'm not. Yeah. I'm just saying that's the path to winning this division, in my opinion.
I think so too. I think you have to realize that, but I don't like that thinking of like, well, let's play to, just not lose.
I know.
That's like prevent defense for me, talking about the Bear in a football game, and you're just going to let an offense kind of pick you apart a little bit. And then all of a sudden you're like, whoa, wait a second. They got the momentum. But I hear you. I absolutely hear you. That's the reality of it, which is kind of fun to think that way. I just don't want them to think that way, and by players' mentality. I want them to stay still, lead foot and pedal to the metal type of thing. And but this is how the White Sox are. This is who they are.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much. I feel like anger and disappointment, and I don't desperate that there, that Saturday game against the Mets, garbage, just absolute garbage. The first 2 against the Cubs and Wrigley, those were, the whole thing was a playoff type atmosphere. And I couldn't even sleep on Monday night. I kid you not. I got maybe 45 minutes. I just could not rest. My brain couldn't rest.
Yeah.
after what happened and what went down. And maybe we'll talk a little bit more on that if we even wanted to revisit it. But, the White Sox, are not built to just steamroll teams.
No.
Like the Brewers or, even the Rays or the Dodgers, of course, or some other teams. They just don't have the depth. They don't have the horses in the rotation. We are getting so creative with our rotation and our openers and just begging guys to give us 2, maybe 3. And your Quiddy, who's going to get the nod, I think, on Monday. It's
saw
like
that. I saw he's the probable.
That could have been the best deadline move by Getz right now, which is crazy to think. This is who they are. This is who they've been since the beginning of the year. They've got flashes. They do not quit. They will make your heart sing, and you want to just gobble up tickets and merchandise, and you're all in on this team. And then they will have maddening losses. They ultimately are what you had predicted. They're a 500 team. They're an 81-81. They're 6 games over right now. I never really thought they were going to get into double digits, nor did I think they were going to run away with the division. Win series. Take your 2 out of 3. Take your 3 out of 5. There's going to be downs with this staff and the way the bullpen is. Offense is going to go to sleep from time to time. I don't want to use the excuses that they're a young team. They are, but they don't play like it. There's some mental mistakes and, poor, execution. Venable is not Teflon. He's making errors too. I hope they just don't pinch and play tight, because of where they're at. Again, like they have to be kind of blinded by that. And that's where Venable and the staff somehow have to just keep them loose, keep them having fun. This is exciting, and I think that Cubs playoff series, I call it a playoff series. It wasn't, of course, but it had that vibe. That was good for this team.
Yeah.
Hated the results, and it's just maddening that we can't close things out with our bullpen when it matters. It's scary. But how fun was that? I think that was good for those guys to go through it.
I 100% agree. I mean, the only way you're going to be, this team is going to get any kind of quote unquote playoff experience is to go through games in a series like that. Again, as close as you can probably get to a playoff type series. You're playing a really good, and the Cubs, they are a really good team. They are built to go deep into a
PCA.
playoff.
Boy,
he's a superstar. Now, we can joke and not like it. He's a brash player, but he backs it up. So, God bless him. You got one of the better players and probably an MVP candidate, if not the favorite, right now on your team. And hats off to him. But you hung with that team for 2 games. You lost in heartbreaking fashion. You couldn't execute when you needed to execute, both at the plate and on the mound. And that's going to happen. And you scrapped and you clawed and you were able to salvage 1 game of that series. I wasn't satisfied with it, Nick, but I went into it thinking you needed to at least win one of these games. And you were going to be outmatched in a lot of ways. And like they have been in most games. Think back to the Braves series, which unfortunately they ended up dropping that game in the makeup and went 2-1 against them. Same with the Dodgers, and same with, the Yankees. You went toe-to-toe with the Yankees outside of, I think, the one blowout game in New York. Maybe it was.
Yeah.
And so you've gone and you've competed. Again, the idea is to win, not just go out there and compete. You don't get any points or love for just competing. But this team has shown me they're not afraid of anybody. And I think that has tested them, and they will be able to draw back on that when the lights get really, really bright, should they win this division and make it to October. And that's a beautiful thing for them, for a team that's not going to have a lot of quote unquote playoff experience. And I don't know how the hell they're going to do it with his pitching staff. It's basically put together with bubble gum and chicken wire at the moment, but they've seemingly continued to find a way. I don't know how to describe it other than that.
Yeah. There's no way to. Guys are rising up. They're stepping up. That opener in Wrigley, when they decided to pitch to PCA, and I saw all the Venable stuff and the excuses and the double downs. It reminded me a lot of when Tony La Russa questioned media and everybody of like, why wouldn't I walk this guy with the whatever count? And everyone
count.
else,
let's walk a guy with an 0-2 count.
And everybody else in the world's like, no, that doesn't happen. And La Russa's like, I don't get it. I can't believe you're questioning it. And that was kind of Venable's attitude. And he's not going to, flat out admit like that was a dumb choice. You could have walked around him, or pitched around him, I should say, kind of what the Cubs did with Mooney. You had a spot on first that meant nothing, but for Venable to kind of double down the next, it's just funny to me. I didn't like that situation. I didn't like Hicks going 2 innings in that moment. We were 2 outs away, but it just felt like Hicks was a little, he gets a little erratic after that second inning. He is max effort. He's throwing 100+ miles an hour, and it's an intense situation. And I felt like we just stretched him a little too much. But that's going to happen in, late September, October games, right? You're going to have to get the most out of guys. And maybe that was a good experience for Venable and staff and, players of like, okay, make these mistakes now, because when you get to October baseball, there's a lot of players, and Venable included, that they don't have a blueprint. They don't have like, oh, I remember last year when we were in the postseason or 2 years ago. And, so I think you have to draw on some of these situations, hopefully as a template for you. But that was just gut wrenching. And then Tuesday we had the lead late, 8th inning, if I recall, when the lead was given up. I think Taylor was on the mound, and that you can't walk guys. That's we've been saying that forever. Everybody knows that. That just kills me. These freebies and teams that have hot bats, teams that are they know how to be patient and flick something in the right field and stay in at bat and battle. They're thanking you. Like, great, you gave us runners on, and I get to do this now. And the free passes, it's just it kills you. It absolutely kills you. So of course the win, we needed it on Wednesday, and that was an exhausting series. I was tired after that series as a fan, just watching that just intensity. But it made me so excited for playoff baseball, though. Fun for the players, fun for the fans, but it was a precursor. It's why I want to see this team get to the finish line, because you want that feeling, you want that experience. I cannot wait to get back to 35th and Shields for a playoff atmosphere like we did 5 years ago with that blackout game 2.0 where they thumped the Astros. I can't wait for that. We've been waiting for it. And before 2021, it was 2008. Now we didn't get to go to any games in 2020, although you were able to watch, of course, from a distance as they played in Oakland. But it was 13 years. That was an eternity to get back into the ballpark to watch playoff baseball. So look, it's been tough. It's been a drought. And I am aggravated just about as everybody else, but I'm still riding on the high here of where they're at and the possibility and just pinching myself of I can't believe they're here in late August. They deserve it, but I still can't believe it's happening.
Well, again, we should enjoy this ride forever, however long this ride lasts. And there's a lot to, look forward to, because they found a way. Like I'll go back to it. They found a way to win ball games with not really being at their best. There's some guys that are scuffling right now, and two of them that come to mind are maybe not the two you're thinking of, and I don't know if I don't have the numbers to back all this up, but to me, Antonacci's gone a little bit cold, and Mydroth's gone a little cold. We used to say this about Tim Anderson all the time.
How about Mooney? Sorry to interrupt, but Mooney's on he's pretty cold too. But yeah, go ahead.
I agree, but I'm talking about, I get that with Mooney, and I get it with Colson Montgomery too. I get all that. But those are when I talk about Antonacci and Mydroth, those are the guys that spark clubs,
sure.
Spark plugs for us. And I feel like as they go, this whole offense is like fluid. It gets a lot longer. You're not relying on just a Vargas big hit or home run, or Mooney to run into one and hit one, 5 billion feet off the scoreboard in Wrigley Field, or Colson to run into one when he's not swinging at every breaking ball down and in and missing. Those are the two guys that I feel are the most consistent and I feel most comfortable with at the plate. And they just don't seem to be completely on at the moment. Again, you're talking about two really young guys that, Antonacci in particular, probably the most baseball he's played in his life. And starting in a position still that is not his natural spot. I'm sure he's kind of going through it. And after being hit as much as he's been hit this year, his body's got to be like just barking right now. So I feel like if those guys can kind of get through this, maybe like that runner's high you always tell me about, I wouldn't experience that. I would be experiencing runner's dead. Oh, Pat started a race and he's now dead. But that runner's high where you just kind of get through that block, and now you're kind of just the pain, that you're not feeling the pain, and you just get back to being yourself. That's what I think, Nick. I think if those two guys get back on track and really start being pests again at the plate, and I think this is where the offense really comes back to more reliable in terms of scoring in multiple ways other than just hitting walk-off home runs.
There's something in running called dead legs too. Like if you're training for a long distance thing, and you get to the point where if you're training for a marathon, you go up to 20 miles, and then once you get to 20 miles, you pare back down, leading up to the big day. But somewhere around your training, your legs just feel tired and dead, and you don't have the same energy. And it's like hitting a wall when you are running a long period of time. You have to train your body to break through that wall. Okay. And because your body doesn't know that sometimes it has more in it, so once you're lethargic, you're tired, you're weak, you just feel like your legs are, they're weighing 20 pounds a piece. You kind of have to keep going to break through that. And then you do. And then your body's like, oh, there's another side. Oh, okay. And that's sometimes where you get the runner's high too. Like when you're done with that wall and that dead leg stretch, you start having these amazing, you get to these long distance runs, and it's euphoria, man. You're just like, everything's clicking. You don't feel it. And I that happens with pitchers too. You get dead arm. It usually happens in spring training, but it can happen throughout a season where you just kind of have dead arm, and you have to power through that, and you're stronger on the other side. And some of these guys that are in areas that, in terms of games and innings logged, and their bodies are like, wait a second here, this is when we usually stop, friend. You gotta power through that, you gotta push through that, get like the Kool-Aid man, maybe that's what Schriffen should be saying. Oh yeah, instead of
yes. Yes, I like that.
How about that?
I think we should. You can slip into his DMs and give him that. You're good. You're close. You ushered him around, the parking lot when he was his first game. I mean, you guys are tight.
just kind of a fan whisperer, just Shrift, this is kind of what I think, man. Maybe hang up the yeah, buddy, and go with the oh yeah, because these players need to break through a wall, get to the other side. It'll sound better when I kind of think it out and send it to them. We'll see. But I can't be worried about these guys though, because they have just given everything, and they keep producing, and they kind of go away and other guys rise up, and as Tristan Peters on Sunday this afternoon, and I think Scott put in the chat here that Uncle Jer surprised him with this like really nice like cycle ring. He was in the clubhouse, and I don't know if you saw this, Pat.
I did see it.
I mean, it was just a really cool moment to capture this forever, that he was one of the few to do this in a White Sox uniform. Just a crazy, crazy season. And I think a lot, Vargas too. I'm not comparing Vargas. Please stop if you think this is a direct comparison, because it's not. I am not making comparisons to Frank Thomas at all. It's ridiculous. Okay. Frank Thomas, the greatest, hitter in White Sox history, one of the greatest right-handed hitters in all of history in baseball. But there's something lately about Vargas when he comes up, he's got danger, on the mind. And when there was that stretch where you would pitch to Frank, and it was just like you'd pitch and you'd kind of want to just get out of the way, because you knew that something was happening here. He was not getting cheated. You either walked him or he was ringing things off the wall for a double. He was blasting it out of the ballpark. He was punishing baseballs. Vargas just has got that right now. That look, that swing, the pop off the bat. It's amazing again where he has come from over the last year or so. He seems very comfortable. He seems locked in.
Yeah.
And, with Mooney and scuffling and Colson hot and cold, and Antonacci and Meidroth, having lulls. It's like these guys, it's like whack-a-mole, but just other folks need to rise up. And I think, maybe this is a good time, because I think there's a lot of frustration, not with maybe the Sox, like, how come they just can't pull away and run away with this division. I think there's, clearly a lot of buyer's remorse on the deadline guys. Bart, obviously, we didn't even know him. I mean, he's gone. Doyle, a moment, maybe, flashed a little bit of leather, but, nothing special. Brazoban, oh dear. I'm not convinced or confident at all with that guy on the mound. And Castillo, and it's not like he had amazing numbers, when we made the deal, but like a veteran starting pitcher, he's got some movement on his fastball. Maybe a different atmosphere, different uniform could help him out. He had that one start in a White Sox uniform, his first start, that was electric. But I have not been impressed with.
Well, he pitched well against the Reds. I was at the game when he pitched against the Reds.
That was the game, right? That was his first game in a White Sox uniform.
Well, he pitched in Boston. Am I right?
I know, but in a home. I'm sorry, Pat, in a home game, in a home Sox uniform, I should say. You're right. That Reds game was great.
And I thought he had like 3 or 4 good innings to start in Boston, if memory serves, before the wheels fell off. I get you there with the buyer's remorse, because there could have been a lot more done had you been willing not to, quote unquote, sit on your assets. I think this is an area that Chris Getz could be obviously open for criticism on, because there wasn't a lot of contributions. And you can say till the cows come home, I don't want to disrupt the chemistry. I think it's more of, I didn't want to disrupt what we had in the minor leagues and give up too much to pay for, maybe rentals. And I understand that. But if tomorrow was promised to no one, Nick, you were in a position to go for it. You're spoiled with riches in the minor leagues that you could have probably let go to help your team this year. But again, I think the jury's out, though, in my opinion, because again, I'll go back to one of the most famous trades we've ever made was for Jeff Blum, and he won us a World Series game. So I'm not saying that any of these guys are going to win us a World Series game, but I'll give it a little bit more time before I say, boy, that was a bust of a trade deadline. It doesn't look great right now, I'll be honest, and I don't think there was enough done, but it's not letting Getz off the hook. But, I'll give it a little bit more time and see if these guys can provide, at least Castillo provide us innings. That's what we need. I mean, if he doesn't go out there, he's not lights out, I'm okay with it. Can you give me 5 innings and less than, 4 runs in your starts? That's really what all I'm looking for out of him.
Hurting the bullpen is a problem.
Yeah.
I think his start against the Mets, was it the Mets or was it Atlanta? It was his most. Was it the Mets on Saturday, the middle game?
It was a Saturday game, yeah.
Where he threw like 80 pitches in 3 innings or something. That kind of stuff, that just can't happen. I mean, we are so reliant right now on every available arm, and that's where you're doing damage. If you can sprinkle those runs and hits over 6 innings, it's like, okay, well, at least if anything, you've been able to save our bullpen for a little bit. This was such a critical opportunity and deadline, I think, for Getz. We talked about it for a while, and he, like everybody else, this is new to him. Unfortunately for us, we've got a general manager that is still figuring things out and very protective of our prospects, and careful not to do this and do that, and maybe didn't have the dance partners or anything else. But with that situation brewing and frustrating, I got to look back to the offseason and say, well, you brought in Mune, you brought in Kay, who's been very reliable.
Yeah.
I mean, he's what, your number 2 maybe in a playoff series?
100%. Yes. I mean, right now, there's no doubt about it.
That is fascinating. He's been a worker. You bring in Peters, as we've been talking about. And how about Grichuk? I mean, this dude is like, what do they call him? Dad? He's Uncle Dad or something.
Uncle.
If they don't call him Uncle Dad, they should call him Uncle Dad. He's just been, released from the Yankees. So it wasn't really an off-season thing, but good on the Sox to like gobble him up, and he murders left-handed pitching. I feel pretty confident with him with a bat out there.
Yes.
And I don't know what you make about Jake Rogers. I mean, that was fun on Friday night, but I don't, I can't do much outside of that consistently so far. Although he's got he has got a facial hair resume that should be in like some sort of magazine or some sort of calendar.
Facial hair weekly. Yes.
He does some fantastic stuff with the facial hair that I highly approve of. But right now it's just it's a beard, which is fine. Love a good beard. But he's done some crazy things. Hopefully if he sticks around, we get a nice mustache out of him, Fu Manchu, handlebar, something.
I think you will get a nice mustache out of him, Nick. That's put that on a t-shirt. I mean, you rattle off a lot of guys but I'll go back to Grichuk. I mean, there's nobody I feel more confident up against the left-handed pitcher than Randall Grichuk. What? Are you losing me or am I losing you? Now Nick seems to be frozen. So I don't know if Nick is going to come back or not. Hopefully he does. But let's talk about Randall Grichuk for a second. He was hit the second home run of the 3 on Friday night that led to a White Sox winner in the bottom of the 9th inning with the aforementioned Jake the Snake Rogers. So, I mean, pickups and guys that are able to come off the bench and give you a lot more of a dimension is something that, all teams need are going to be successful. Nick, welcome back. I was just talking about more on Randall Grichuk, and
we were doing so well. The internet was.
Did you hear me?
Great. I heard you start to talk about Grichuk, and then I was like, oh, my heart sank. I said,
Oh,
oh, here we go again.
was it a me or was it a you? Was it because I saw
I
you
don't
as
know.
frozen?
There could be squirrels in the attic that are gnawing away at critical Wi-Fi lines right now.
So Nick he's caught 4 squirrels, or you've caught 3 squirrels.
3, but there's one more at large.
There's one more at large that Nick has got traps up there. I think he's got his dog Southpaw rolling around up there trying to catch this squirrel. So there could be some issues right there with wires. Anyway, but Randall Grichuk, again, that's an A+ pickup, because not only because what he's been able to contribute, with the bat in his hand, and pinch hitting, I mean, has been probably one of the toughest things to be able to do, is just come off the bench. And most of the time, that's what he is. He's coming off as a pinch hitter and delivering more times than not, it feels like, and the leadership and just being a guy between him and Benintendi, which, not the greatest weekend for Benintendi, especially with the bases loaded, not fantastic for him, but he has delivered. He delivered today with a big hit and scored the first run. Guys like that not only can bring some leadership and a little bit of that veteran savvy to the team, but it can also contribute at the same time. That's somewhat invaluable, in my opinion.
Do you know what is invaluable, or I should say almost like a secret weapon, is how you manage ABS. And the Sox have just
not good.
It hasn't been good. It has not been good. I don't think there's a game plan with that. I don't think there's a mentality or a motto or a philosophy, whatever you want to say. Guys are just, calling for a challenge whenever they want. There's almost like an ego thing of, how dare you? And I think it's got to be the right situation. You got to have runners on. You got to save some for the end of the game. And we have seen just catchers of ours not have a very good eye for that. I don't know what the answer is, but that has been pretty maddening. It really cost us in that Cubs series. Well, there's a lot of things that cost us, but that was a contributor. However, the umpiring was not great either.
No,
but
not
the
good.
way we use ABS, there needs to be just a big come to Jesus moment, a sit down. Hey, we need to talk about how we want to handle this, because if you're letting folks just do whatever they want, I don't think that's the right approach.
Well, I think that maybe it was Saturday. I was watching the end of that game. First of all, Saturday in the bottom of the ninth, I know it was a 5-run deficit, but I was sitting in my home and I'm thinking, just don't swing at anything. Please don't swing. This guy can't hit the broadside of a barn right now. There's no reason to offer it anything. And they decided they wanted to. But there were times when I'm sitting on my couch and I'm going, challenge. Good, go ahead. You guys love to challenge. You got challenges. You're not challenging. Challenge. And there were clearly pitches out of the zone that they let go by the wayside and didn't go ahead and challenge. So yes, that has been a very maddening thing with this team. I don't want it to take away from the great success that they've had as a group this year, but there's something that they really should talk about at some point, especially, again, they win this division, you go into the playoffs, there has to be some strict guidelines. I agree with you. It's like, guys, it's got to be past like maybe the 3rd inning. And if it's not, there better be runners on base and it better be clear as day, because these are too valuable at the end of the game. That could potentially win you a playoff game, or maybe even a series if you're doing it correctly. And I don't know if there is a correct way to do it, or, I'm sure teams.
I think there just needs to be a philosophy.
I agree.
Just like, this is how we want to handle this at different, and maybe those are in-game conversations too, in the dugout, depending if you have the lead, if you're trailing, what inning it is. When I was playing high school and some college ball, and I don't think this is a mystery of how this would be handled, but you're trailing late in the game, 8th, 9th inning, you don't swing till you see a strike.
Yeah.
I mean, you are looking to get on base, and that's an obvious one that's used throughout. They need to have some sort of thing, like, everybody knows, like, and I don't know if that's a sign that's related from Venable to Jerschel over there on third base. If there's an ABS signal, like tug on the earlobe or something, like, just don't challenge anything right now. We want to save some of these. I don't know, but that's been bugging me a little bit. Again, nitpicky stuff, I guess, but that's the way of baseball right now. That's how things are. That could win you, a few ball games here and there. If you're smart with it behind the plate or as a batter. We've got some time here, and we had talked about Tim Anderson last week as we were leaving, and God only knows what's going to happen with this internet of mine. We've been lucky, knock on wood, but in case I'm frozen to death and this is the end of me for this podcast.
Wow, this is pretty dark way to end.
We're going.
Like if you find me on the floor, I love you. The squirrels hate my body.
Just know I love all of you. I appreciate everything that, all the time you've committed, and all of the love for the White Sox and beyond. No, we talked a little bit last week about Tim Anderson, and we were going to get to it. And, we mentioned 5 years ago is when obviously the last time the Sox won the division. And you got to think about that iteration of the Sox. We were reminded about it with Luis Robert Jr. being in a Mets uniform this past weekend, and he went crazy on Saturday with a couple monster home runs. One particular that just was, wow, electric. And that's always going to happen. Like, oh, I can't believe it. What could have been if that team would have just played like this team is playing. Just more cohesive. A lot healthier, and Tim Anderson, about a week and a half ago, maybe 2 weeks, officially announced his retirement from baseball. I don't know if he signed a one-day contract with the Sox or what to retire as a White Sox, but it was almost like a White Sox presser, that he was delivering this from, and spoke a lot about, where he's at mentally and just his psyche. And it was unfortunate to hear. We knew he was going through some stuff. He had some personal stuff, a close friend that I think was murdered in Alabama, and some marital, maybe, I don't know, a lot of hypothetical stuff that was going on in his life. I don't know. I have no idea exactly what was happening, but a lot of speculation and where he was at as a baseball player. Heavy is the head that wears the crown, a couple of batting titles, really the face of the White Sox. I think the guy to get those Southside jerseys going, those original City Connects, and gave us so many memories. The Field of Dreams game, of course, is always going to be right up at the top. And I thought he was going to be signed as a White Sox for life. When he was at that point, back-to-back titles and World Baseball Classic and All-Star Game, and nationally getting the recognition. I really thought Tim Anderson is going to be with the White Sox. He's going to sign that $100 million deal, and we've got our shortstop for a long, long time. And of course that didn't happen. And the Sox are doing a Tim Anderson night, I think September 17th. They're going to wear the Southside Connect jerseys. Anderson's going to be in attendance, throwing out the first pitch. And hey, whatever you feel about that last collection, that last group of players that was on the 2021 Central Champ team, I got to give some love to Tim Anderson. I mean, he provides so many moments, and he will always have a space in, kind of White Sox lore for what he was able to do, albeit in a short amount of time. Pat, thoughts, feelings, just stuff that you had kind of when Tim Anderson made that announcement.
Yeah. I mean, his career had really gone in such a drastic direction away from what he was, ascending to, which was so bizarre because it was a guy that kind of fought his way to turn himself into a really, really good hitter. I wouldn't say he was the best defensive shortstop we've ever seen. Obviously, we've seen much, much better out of that position, but he was a serviceable or above average, I'd say, shortstop. And he really was a budding star. I mean, I think he was on the cover of a video game, if memory serves. MLB The Show, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And that's kind of like, a cultural status that you've kind of hit because of what you've done, the change the game stuff. I mean, it was, and again, we sat here many, many nights having conversations with each other, talking about that team and we talked about it. The way the offense goes is the way that Tim Anderson goes. And he was the straw that stirred the drink for that team in a lot of ways. He brought the swagger, he brought the attitude, he brought a lot of fun, some controversy, but he was a fan favorite. And you loved watching him play, and he had speed and he had a lot of athleticism, and it was a different type of player than we'd probably been used to seeing in a long time. So he provided a lot. And it was just unfortunate that, a lot of his personal life, some not under his control, some of his control, seemed to really dictate the way he performed. And I don't know how the heck I would perform at my job with all that stuff going on. Again, some self-inflicted, some not. And I think it just was, life tends to be really hard when you have those types of things happen. And I just don't think he could overcome it. And then you think about the day in Cleveland, and it really kind of spiraled out of control from there. He wasn't great at that point, but that was an embarrassing moment. So you add that on top of everything that was going on in his personal life. And it was kind of a sad way to watch one of your favorite players go. It's like, wow. It's almost like watching your dog get old. It's like, oh, I remember when my dog was fun. He used to jump up on my lap. And now it's like, I got to carry the poor thing outside to go to the bathroom. That's kind of how I felt about Tim Anderson towards the end, where people were carrying him outside to go to the bathroom. So,
boy,
I think you need to get that analogy talking about Tim Anderson.
Do me a favor. You try to find a way to communicate. I'll get to Schriffen about my. You try to get that analogy to Tim Anderson somehow. Tim, I'll try to be in attendance for that 17th. Though I got to tell you, the last couple of years it was like watching an old dog being taken out, going to the bathroom. I'm sure you'll love that.
Well, you'll look forward to that, Nick. I mean, Southwell is not going to be as spry.
Oh, boy, what a shame.
Whole life, you'll be out there, carrying him in your arms to go to the bathroom. So, again, back to more of a serious note.
By the way, folks, my dog's name's Southpaw. This is not the mascot.
Oh, yes. Yes, not the mascot. We're his Nick's dog, his pride and joy. Anyway, I am glad that the Sox are doing this for Tim Anderson.
Yes.
It'll be a nice way to kind of reunite with him as an ex-player and give the fans an opportunity to throw some love back at him. As I think maybe La Pantera was hoping for this weekend, and he got none of it. So good on the White Sox to do this for Tim Anderson.
Yeah. I think Tim Anderson was far more beloved and stayed on the field than Luis Robert Jr.
By far. And I think he was surprised. I don't remember where I was hearing it, but there was thought, I think, from the organization that they thought it would be a very friendly welcome. And maybe the Mets broadcast brought it up.
Robert Jr. made some comments. I think in the off season when he got traded, was it, or recently, it's just about attendance and just it'd be nice to be playing in front of full houses. I didn't really get that experience in Chicago, he made a comment recently with the Sox success. It's just like, it's good to see fans in the stands. I didn't really experience that. And it's like, well, friend, you didn't stay healthy enough, to help experience any of that.
Yeah, you were in the trainer's room most of the time where you didn't see much of anything.
Yeah, so that whole collection, that 2021 championship team, the division champs, lost quickly to the Astros in the playoffs, but we didn't get much from that.
No.
Boy, did we think that was going to be years and years and years of just, being at the top of the American League, not just the division, but just constantly in the conversation for the ALCS. And I bought into it. I bought into the stuff Hawk was saying, and Garfine and all these different pods he was coming out about, like, oh, look at this team, and then what we're going to have when we have money during free agency. And you wanted it. You wanted to buy into all of that because we were starving.
Yeah.
And so the anger really for me came just because it didn't happen. Maybe it was more, I have to look in the mirror and say, maybe because I bought into it too much. I should really be angry maybe at myself for getting so high on that, buying into the hype, because they were just trying to sell the team. Yeah. They were just trying to sell tickets, and based off the prognosticators, what experts, quote unquote, were saying, these guys were supposed to be outstanding, amazing. And this team was built for multiple years of success. And I bought into it. And so that's what has burned me over prospects and, talent, and Bonner and Chalowski, and great, hey, whatever they're doing down there in the minors, and I know I think they've been shut down recently for some injury or some precaution or whatever they're doing, that's great over the years. Wait till they get to 35th and Shields. Okay, that's when I'll, then we'll see Carlson. I mean, what we saw with Schultz, he just wasn't ready for the show. Yeah. He just was not ready. And I hope he's gotten ready or will be ready soon. There's going to be some call-ups in a little bit. We need arms. I need Davis Martin, if he's going to be doing a rehab stint soon. I know Teal is, but I need arms, man. We all need arms. Davis Martin, if you're listening, I hope you're right. I hope that blister's all calloused up.
It would be great if he was listening. Wouldn't that be fantastic if he just chimed in? I am listening. I know.
It's like when Lennon and McCartney were watching SNL years ago, and Lorne Michaels said, Beatles, I will offer you a $10,000 check if you actually show up and play like 3 songs. And they were actually watching the show at the time, and they just decided against it. You never know.
You never know when that.
We know the Pope is watching. We know the Pope has got a Pope hat. I got one right back over here. We know the Pope has received a White Sox giveaway Pope hat and was watching during Pope night. I mean, we know that the Pope is following the Chicago White Sox, and I bet you he is aware of this podcast and has probably even listened a little bit.
Do you think, let's put this scenario out there. We've got a couple minutes left, but there's a lot of chatter I heard on talk radio this week after the Cubs series. And you looked at how evenly matched this series was.
It was. How about it? The season-long series, yeah.
And even the all-time series split down the middle. And the conversation came up inevitably, and we've had it many, many times over a cold one. And we say, what if these two teams ever met in the World Series? If that happened, Nick, is the Pope making a flight to Chicago to throw out the first pitch? Can that happen? I'm not Catholic anymore. I used to be Catholic.
Yeah, sure.
You're ensconced in Catholicism. Can that?
Someone called me Mr. Catholic.
Mr. Catholic. I would. Someone call you Mr. Catholic. Can the Pope pull him safe away from his duties and make a trip to throw out a first pitch?
I mean, his schedule, I think, is pretty booked up, especially when you got some just absolute nimrods giving him Cubs jerseys from our great state of Illinois. That's a waste of time, by the way. He's got a pretty tight schedule. I don't know if he'd be able to There might be a message. I would say that there's going to be a video message.
Okay.
I don't think you're going to be able to get a pitch out of him. How about it though? If the Pope was on the mound throwing out of a pitch, I can't. I mean, that just
how would he do it though? I mean, he's got to be in the Pope thing. He's got to be behind glass.
Yeah.
So he's like shoot it through some PVC piping, like a potato gun, like through a hole in the bulletproof.
That's the best I can do under the circumstances. This is all I can do here. Like when folks were when it was Halloween during COVID, and they made these like gutters that like came down from the porch down to somebody's bag.
Yeah,
just kind of rolled the ball. I don't. That would be. I think you're going to get a jumbotron message, and that's going to be pretty amazing. But,
okay, I'm thinking they find a way. Jerry, if Jerry gives a ring for hitting the cycle, and gives a ring out in the largest ring box I've ever seen in my entire life, then I think Jerry can get the Pope here. I think it can happen.
Yeah, I think that was just a leftover box from the Domino's giveaway that they did, and he just spray painted it black, and he's like, "Oh yeah, just here you go, throw this ring in here." Which that was a pretty cool giveaway. Those Domino's look pretty cool.
They did.
Yeah, it's something to dream about, man. It's possible. It's really possible. We haven't been able to say this for a long time. And was there a stat that I saw that if the Sox and Cubs make the postseason in 2026, it'll be only the third time in history
Isn't that crazy?
They both made the postseason? 1906, 2008, and 2026.
The Sox have been around for 126 years now. They celebrated 125 last year.
Yep.
The Cubs have been around for over
150 now. I think 100. They're celebrating 150 this year.
So in that time, you can't tell me that these teams. I mean, that's amazing. That's
the thing we need to be talking more about. The city of Chicago. It's 3 times where they've both been of quality to make it to the postseason at the same time.
Crazy and sad at the same time when you
absolutely
crazy and sad.
Let's take a look really quick here at the upcoming week, and then we'll get to quote of the week and get everybody out of here so they can get on and get ready for their busy Mondays and the rest of the week. Texas, they're 1 game under 500, but you got to play this tough here. The Texas knows that every game for them matters in that division out west. You're Quiddy on the hill. I'm excited to see what we're going to get from him. Really impressed with his outing against the Northsiders. Kind of really rocked them to sleep. Nothing overpowering, a lot of movement, kind of that veteran presence of
cunning and guile.
I'm going to make you try hard and you beat yourself on things, which I think is what Kay does quite a bit. So looking forward to that. And then again, the big Minnesota series. They're all huge against divisional opponents, but when you want to look at potential tiebreakers and stuff with the Twins, you got to take care of business up in the Twin Cities there.
Well, that's an opportunity to do to the Twins like what you did to the Tigers. Put them down, give them no hope, stomp on their throats.
Love it. That's really where we're going to end things right there, because that is the message. That is the mentality. My quote of the week is from Sam Antonacci. It's a short one. You've probably seen it. It's a great one, but wanted to thank everybody for being with us on this Sunday night as the Sox took 2 of 3 from the 9 Mets in dramatic fashion. Find the podcast absolutely everywhere you find your podcasts. Subscribe to the Good Guys Talk Back YouTube channel. We do appreciate that. We do this live on Sunday nights at 9 p.m. This is from Antonacci this past week, talking about just kind of the success and the ups and downs and the chemistry and everything that has been happening with the White Sox. And Sam Antonacci said, "It takes a village, and we have a really good village," as he emphasized team depth and collective resilience rather than relying on any singular player. simple but sweet, very powerful, and that's the chemistry. That's the unity. I love that.
Love Sam Antonacci. I love him even more when he gets back to being a pest and getting on base and doing Sam Antonacci things to put a lot of pressure on the other team. So looking forward to that.
Yep. That'll be next week, I'm sure. The Sam Antonacci Revenge Tour. He will be back. Pat, always a pleasure, buddy. This was fun.
Yeah, let's do it next week. Maybe you'll be reporting live from Minnesota. We will see.
I'm not going to hold my breath, but I'm going to make the pitch.
Okay.
You know, I will shoot for the moon is my mentality.
Yes, sir.
For Pat Hester, I am Nick Murawski. Until next time, go Sox.